Hey guys, how are you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic week. Before I jump into this new video, have you checked out the one I did before? The most recent video? I hope you have. Check it out and let me know in the comments what you think. So today we are talking about three really critical things. And that is three things that make the difference between bad, good, and great compliance officers. And yes, there are a multitude of things that would kind of fall within this list. But when I was thinking about it, and I was like, if I had to narrow it down in terms of the characteristics that I have seen in a number of compliance professionals, what were the things that I can say really made them either not great at their job, which unfortunately has happened, or those who were really great and inspired me, and I wanted to emulate and be like, what was it that they really did well? And I managed to narrow it down to these three things. So we're going to jump into them. Welcome to our new subscribers as always. Thanks for joining the Compliance with Kudzai YouTube channel family. Really happy to have you here. And of course, not neglecting the subscribers who've been here for a while. Thank you for continuing to support, watching the videos, liking the videos, sharing the videos. I really do appreciate you. Okay, let's jump into the crux of the conversation. But before I can feel a okay, so that I don't get all dry throated. So, what are the things that make the difference between being good, being great, or being bad at your role as a compliance professional? Number one, education versus knowledge. Right. The bad compliance officer, I feel so bad calling it bad, but it is what it is. The bad compliance officer is the compliance officer who believes that once I have a degree, whether it's a law degree or whatever degree it is that you have, and maybe get a couple of certifications under my belt, it's like job done. I am ready to apply for a head of compliance role. I'm ready to go. I've got the technical knowledge. I know which acts apply in what context, right? Or I've, written the professionally required examinations. And to that person, I say, you're not a great compliance officer or even a good compliance officer if you don't understand that that level of education is literally the foundation of your building. When you're building a house, you start with the foundation. But if you stop at that level, you're not going to be a good compliance officer by any stretch of the imagination. So let's just get that done. By no means saying don't do that, but just understand that that is your introduction level, right? The good compliance officer takes it a step further and says, okay, let me now understand the context within which this qualification or certification is going to operate in. And then, I'm going to understand the banking laws specifically. Let's talk about, we're talking about banks. And then let me understand how banking actually works. And then the great compliance officer is the one who really contextualizes the skill set much more broadly in terms of where does this fit in financial services as a whole? The one who's all about obtaining ongoing knowledge. What are the trends in the industry? What are the developments from a regulatory perspective? What are the innovations we're seeing in financial services, and how is the regulator responding to that and monitoring that on an ongoing basis? And then having the ability to say, in the context of the role that I perform within an organization, what does this mean operationally? So you need to be able to translate what you're seeing in the world, in the operating landscape, in the regulatory landscape, and then put it down into your micro context, your specific business, and say, so to maintain compliance, what is it that we need to do? So it's about pursuing ongoing learning. It's not a once-off full stop. I've got my degree and now I can do compliance. That's not going to lead to good compliance, because you're going to have a very rules-based approach to compliance if that's the level that you stop your knowledge acquisition at. So you need to go beyond knowing that the Act states 1, 2, 3. That's bad compliance. And then go to good compliance, which is like, okay, how does this actually work in the industry and in the sector that I'm operating in? And then the ongoing knowledge acquisition is to be able to then say, okay, what is the big picture of this? What are the changes? Monitoring that on an ongoing basis, and then having the skill to bring all that knowledge down to the specific context of the organization that you support to make sure that it's now translating operationally in an informed way. So first things first, you have to be able to distinguish between education and knowledge, and that knowledge acquisition has to be consistent and ongoing throughout your career if you're going to be a great compliance officer and translating that knowledge into an operational context. That's number one. Number two, informing versus advising. And to a lot of people that get, well, if I've informed you, I've advised you. Nah, not really. Informing someone is to tell them something like, tomorrow a specific act is coming into place. Okay, you've informed them, now they know they must do something about it, right? And you can say, I've done my job. That is bad compliance because all you've done is tell them. Advising, on the other hand, if you're an advisor in a compliance role, you have to take them on the journey from informing them, and you also have to be mindful of when you're informing them. Telling someone the day before a piece of legislation comes into effect, and it requires 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of project management work for them to implement the requirements. You might have ticked the box that you've informed them, and you can sit back and be like, well, I did my part. But that's not good compliance. That's bad compliance. Good compliance is informing them in a timely fashion, in a timely manner, so they actually have the opportunity to do something about what it is. And then great compliance officer is walking that implementation journey with them and giving them that guidance that in this context, you need to do this. For these requirements, in order to meet the compliance obligations, you need to do this. You are part of the team of implementation and ensuring that you're providing ongoing guidance and support throughout the process, and helping them navigate that compliance implementation or change that needs to happen on an ongoing basis until it's done and the requirements are met. That is what makes great compliance officers. So if you think, oh, I informed them and you might, I've done my part, that's bad compliance. If you informed them and didn't inform them in good time to do anything about it, that's bad compliance. If you want to start moving to good compliance, you inform them in good time, but then just after you told them, you just kind of left them to their own devices. Okay, you gave them time and maybe they'll figure it out. Not ideal. Great compliance, really great compliance is being a partner on that journey and providing them advice, support in any way that is needed from a regulatory perspective to ensure that the objective is met and compliance is achieved. That's great compliance. And then last but certainly not least, this is mainly a character component of compliance that I personally hold very dear to my heart. And that is timid versus confident in terms of your personality. And let me be clear, timid doesn't mean you have, or confidence doesn't mean you have to be the loudest person in the room and therefore that's how you're going to be heard, or the most aggressive person. No, what I mean is you have to have it within you to have difficult conversations, to raise things that need the attention of the business leadership and to highlight the importance of those things. You need to be able to engage with senior leadership and raise concerns around ethics and integrity. Are we doing things that are outside of the risk appetite that has been committed to from a board level? Are we, putting the brand and reputation at risk, the license at risk by some of the things that we're doing in terms of products, services, anything like that? Are we going against what the company policy says we're supposed to go in terms of how we're operating? Let's say it's bribery and corruption and things like that. And we said we've had a zero tolerance, but in this market, we're kind of saying, actually, we can use that middleman or facilitator to help us get things done that need to be done. And there's a fee associated with that. And we're turning a blind eye to what that fee actually looks like, entails, and means. So if you see stuff like that, you can't just be like, well, we've got a policy in place and they know what the policy is, and I'm just going to, you know, point them in that direction. And if they don't do anything, no, in the room that you're in, you have to make sure that you are raising, highlighting, it is being noted that actually this is not good what we're doing, and this is not aligned with the company values, our code of conduct policies, the law specifically, and making sure that that is clearly communicated to them, and also that they understand the consequences of going ahead in terms of whether it needs to be reported as suspicious transactions, and regulatory audits or inspections could bring this out, and what that's going to look like and how that's going to affect the organization. You have to be willing and able to do those hard things. And like I said, confidence doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the loudest voice in the room. It just means that when you see something, you say something, and you're not going to let anybody shut you down or silence you when you see that something is not right. So I would say for me, if you have those core three characteristics, values, skills, whatever you want to call them, in terms of you understand that, you have to go beyond education and make sure you have an ongoing pursuit of knowledge acquisition and application. If you are making sure that you're not just informing them, but you're acting as an advisor, and if you are confident enough to raise issues, those type of things are what lead you to becoming a great compliance officer. If you can't hit those marks, then you're kind of going down a slippery slide of great, good. And unfortunately, if you ignore things, bury things, don't raise things, then you're definitely falling within the category of bad compliance officer. Okay, but I know you guys have watched this video and you are absolutely going to hit the mark in terms of striving to become a great compliance officer and making sure you're hitting all those marks. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments for yourselves. What makes you a great, because I know you're great, what makes you a great compliance officer? Or where do you think you can improve? Or if you think, I'm not too sure how to raise my confidence levels, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and bye. I'll see you soon.